Hey, you ignored a call from Mom the other day, didn't you? What? No, I didn't ignore her. Don't lie. She complained to me that you didn't answer the phone. I thought to myself, here we go again. My husband said this, but I never received a call from my mother-in-law. Not since we got married. I disliked her. She always doted on my husband, John, and I was left out. Then, shall I show you the proof? Just apologize to her directly next time, all right? Directly? But your parents' home is quite far, isn't it? Don't worry about that. John said, grinning. What's so funny? The thing is, Mom is coming here tomorrow. We'll be together all the time from now on. Hearing this, I accidentally dropped and shattered the glass I was washing. In a tragic turn, the glass made a loud crash and shattered into pieces. It was one of my favorite glasses. You can't just spring that on me. We don't even have a spare room. Then what about your room? Your study? You barely use it anyway. Why does it have to be my room? Just make sure everything's tidy before Mom arrives. You can even throw stuff out if you want. His words confused me. Why is she coming? Huh? Why? There's no reason. I just want to be with Mom. I was so stunned, I couldn't say anything. Mother's boy. This started after my father-in-law passed away. John always had a mama's boy tendency. Until now, his father played a barrier role, but not anymore. I'm not hidden from it. Whenever something comes up, it's always Mom, Mom. As his wife, I might as well not exist. Shouldn't you at least discuss it with me? Huh? Why should I discuss anything with you? Besides, this is our house. This is the house I inherited. Enough. Just do as I say. I realized talking to John any further was pointless. No matter what I said, his mind was full of thoughts about his mom. That's it, no more holding back. If that's what you want, I'll do it. It's okay to empty it, right? That's what I've been saying. Don't make me repeat myself. Don't you understand? Just confirming. 7 seconds later, I made a call. It was to a demolition company. Why don't you go pick up your mother? She's arriving tomorrow, right? But she's coming tomorrow. Come back with her then. She'll be delighted, I'm sure. Sometimes you do say the right things. I can't stay here. I gotta go. And so, I got John out of the house, and everything was set. Just you wait. After I demolished the house and moved, John and his mother are in for a hell of a surprise. I'm Emily, a 34-year-old full-time homemaker this year. I'm home. What's for dinner? It's almost ready. Okay, thanks for that. The one speaking so curtly is my husband, John. We've been married for 3 years. We met at a corporate party. Back then, I was working at an event planning company, and he was one of the attendees. Excuse me. Yes, how can I help you? Would you like to exchange contact information? Huh? That was our first conversation. I was surprised, but it didn't feel unpleasant. Sorry for being so sudden. It was love at first sight. Love at first sight. It's my first time feeling this way. Sorry. It's a first for me too. Eventually, we exchanged contact details. I think I felt excited all the way home that day. Later, John got in touch, and we went out for a meal. At first, he seemed a bit unreliable. Would you like to date me? I'd be pleased to. And so, we started dating. John was 3 years older than me. Although he was older, it didn't really feel like it, and I was comfortable around him. We got married 6 months later. Then, John's attitude changed drastically from when we were dating. My mom says she wants to see you. Your mother? Yes, so we're going back to my parents' house tomorrow. Isn't that a bit sudden? We're off tomorrow, so it's a good time. Okay. To be honest, I've always found my mother-in-law difficult. It started with our pre-marriage meeting. You're finally back. I'm home. And who is this? Oh, this is my girlfriend, Emily. She looked me up and down. Come in for now. Thank you for having me. I felt like she glared at me. When it came time for the marriage introduction, John became even quieter. His father's presence was quite significant. Now you can finally get away from your mother. Really? Emily didn't know? He's always been a mama's boy since he was little. Is that so? I glanced at my husband, John, who seemed intimidated by his father. Ever since he was little, he would hide behind his mother whenever he got scared. I was drawn into learning about John's past, a side of him I never knew. My father-in-law and I ended up chatting and laughing about it. Then my mother-in-law spoke up. Hey, Dad, that's enough. What? We were just getting to a good part, right? He looked at me for agreement, and I nodded instinctively. My mother-in-law's gaze turned even sharper towards me. I realized I might have crossed a line. We can talk about this some other time, right? Okay. Eventually, our marriage was approved, and thanks to my father-in-law's kindness, we ended up staying the night at their house. Emily, do you drink? Yes, I do. Why don't we have some together? Sure. My father-in-law loved his liquor. Drinking with him, I learned more about John's past that I hadn't heard before. My father-in-law had always been strict with him. Since he was a child, John lacked confidence, and his father tried to remedy that. Taking care of him can be tough, but I'm counting on you. My father-in-law said, bowing his head to me. I think that's when our relationship began to improve. 2 hours into drinking, I realized that John had disappeared. He had been there just a moment ago. Where's John? Come to think of it, I haven't seen Mom either. Where could they have gone? They'll probably be back soon. At that time, I was still unaware of John's true nature. My father-in-law and I ended up drinking until it was almost the next day. My father-in-law, perhaps tired from the drinking, was fast asleep. As I was about to clean up. How dare you drink so much as a woman? I was startled by my mother-in-law's voice from behind. You understand that you'll have to follow my instructions from now on, right? Yes, I understand. And be careful with John, he's sensitive. Understood. But where is John? I've put him to bed. Put him to bed? I was shocked. It seemed impossible that a grown man over 30 would be put to bed by his mother. Just don't get in the way of me and John. Was this what my father-in-law had been hinting at? Could John really be a mama's boy? After being given such a stern warning by my mother-in-law, I went to bed. And then the next morning. From now on, with Mom not around, you need to pull your weight. I know. We're counting on you, Emily. Yes. There were no words from my mother-in-law. After becoming a couple, I confronted my husband with a question that had been bothering me. John, are you a mama's boy? What? No way. Did you take what Dad said seriously? There are other things that concern me too. Just drop it, okay? John said this, but perhaps he was actually afraid of his father. Then, an incident happened that seemed to unravel everything. That day, we were heading to John's parents' house, as his mother had asked us to. I wondered why now. As we'd never been summoned like this after getting married. I was sure something was up. We're home, Mom. I've missed you. It's been a while. She completely ignored me. Inside, they were having a great time, and I wondered why I was even there. Then I realized something. My father-in-law wasn't there. Where's father-in-law? He must be at the hospital right now. Is something wrong? I don't know. He's been feeling unwell lately. My mother-in-law seemed indifferent about her husband's condition. Isn't that concerning? Concerning? What do you mean? Aren't you worried? She sighed. Why don't you go check on him? He seems to like you. That's not the point. I looked to John for support, but he was indifferent. Far from being concerned about the situation, he was completely engrossed in the cake his mother had baked, not even glancing in my direction. Then they did something unbelievable. We have plans to go out, so can you stay home and watch the house? Stay home? John seemed almost amused. Sorry to ask, but it's for Dad, right? He'd be troubled if no one's home. Maybe, but still. You can do whatever you want while we're gone. It's not a bad deal, right? Wait. We gotta go. Take care of things here. With that, they left. They said I could do as I pleased, but I had no desire to do anything. I was just left in their house, waiting for time to pass. Hours went by. Hearing the sound of the door opening, I hurriedly made my way to the entrance. Father-in-law? Emily, what's going on? Where are they? They went out. Went out? Let's talk in the living room. I moved to the living room and explained to my father-in-law what had happened today. I see. First off, I wasn't even informed they were coming today. What? Plus, I had a hospital visit planned for today. So mother-in-law knew about it. She might have planned this when I was away. But why would she do that? Father-in-law seemed deep in thought, crossing his arms. Probably because I'm in the way. But it's so blatant. Won't it eventually come out? She must have thought it was worth the risk. Actually, what father-in-law told me was shocking. If what he suspected was true, it was nothing short of a disaster. Father-in-law made a suggestion. How about we exchange contact information? It might come in handy if something happens. I would appreciate that. We need to be careful around those two. I don't mind, but I don't want you to suffer, Emily. That's kind of you, father-in-law. Please take care of yourself. You're the only one who says that to me, Emily. Father-in-law smiled a little sadly. Seeing him like that made me feel lonely too. We waited for their return. But no matter how long we waited, they didn't come back. Emily, isn't your phone ringing? Huh? I checked my phone and saw a missed call from my husband. Where are you? Sorry for the late contact. I'm at home. What? And mother-in-law? She's here with me. We're staying overnight. What's that supposed to mean? So, don't bother coming back. Don't joke about this. See you. He hung up. I stood there, stunned. Is something wrong? It seems they're at the other house. And mother-in-law is staying the night. So, they hate me that much. It's ridiculous. I know. I need to think about this. Father-in-law's expression was serious. What will you do, Emily? I'll leave now. I can still make it home. I won't let them do whatever they want. John is lucky to have a wife like you. I said goodbye to father-in-law and left. I had to speak my mind to my husband and mother-in-law. Exhausted after changing trains and riding the bullet train, I finally arrived home past 11 p.m. Breathing heavily, I opened the front door. Then, I heard their laughter. Irritated, I immediately went to confront them. Oh, you're back? You're late. What were you doing? Unable to hold back, I confronted them both. What are you doing here? We're just visiting, what else? Visiting? And leaving father-in-law like that? There's no need to get so angry. Yeah, that's no way to talk. John, you decided this without any communication. That's enough, right? Mother-in-law is here, after all. If you don't like it, you can leave. What? This is my house, isn't it? It's just a house your parents gave you, right? Indeed, the house I currently live in was given by my parents. My father passed away just as I graduated from college, having built this house with the little money he had left. My mother had died when I was young, so he was my last remaining parent. That's why I couldn't forgive their attitude towards father-in-law. Anyway, you should leave tomorrow. Fine. I headed to the room I use as a study. Whenever something unpleasant happens, I always retreat here. My hobby is making jewelry, so I spent the time absorbed in crafting. Before I knew it, the morning sun had risen. I headed to the living room, where mother-in-law was already awake. You look terrible. Thanks to you. So you'll be leaving today? You're persistent. Yes, I know. The mood was gloomy from the morning. Mother-in-law left for her house around noon. Watching my husband send her off with a sad look was unbearable. Afterward, John and mother-in-law were quiet. It was peaceful without mother-in-law. I wished it could always be like this, but it wasn't to be. We need to talk. Have a seat. When I returned from work, I noticed John's unusual demeanor. What's the talk about? Actually, father-in-law has collapsed. Collapsed? Why? You've heard about it from him, haven't you? I heard something before, but it seems pretty serious. That's because you two neglected him. So, can you take care of father-in-law? Take care of him? Why me? What about your mom? It's father-in-law's request. Father-in-law's? I was full of doubts. I was worried about father-in-law's collapse, but why me? I immediately contacted father-in-law. I heard from John, but... Yes, it must have been sudden for you. It was. I don't think I have much time left. I know my body well. Don't talk like that, please. There's something I need to ask of you. This is something I can only entrust to you, Emily. Father-in-law explained his one wish. Revenge on John and mother-in-law. He was fed up with their indifference, even as he fell ill. I decided to fulfill father-in-law's earnest wish. I'll do whatever I can to help. Thank you. I conveyed this immediately. Great. What about your job? I'll quit, of course. I can't work and take care of father-in-law. Right. The next day, I submitted my resignation and headed to my in-laws' house. When I arrived, father-in-law, who had grown frail, thanked me. Thank you for coming so soon. It's okay. I've made my decision. Good. Isn't mother-in-law here? She went to a friend's place today. I see. But this might be an opportunity. Exactly. Let's discuss our next steps. We planned our strategy. I have an idea, can I tell you? Of course. It's about what happens after I die. What do you mean? Honestly, I don't want to leave anything to those two. You mean the inheritance? Yes. They don't know, but they'll regret it after I'm gone. Are you sure? I've thought about it a lot since I got sick. Understood. We talked about various things. Then mother-in-law returned as if nothing had happened. What? You're already here. Mother-in-law isn't reliable, so... You'll work hard then. I know what to do. I couldn't leave father-in-law's care to mother-in-law. I spent about half the week at their house. But father-in-law's condition worsened. Father-in-law, are you okay? Sorry for the trouble. This is my job now. Don't worry. Emily, I'm counting on you for what comes next. Ever since I started taking care of father-in-law, mother-in-law never showed any concern or uttered a caring word. At least she could say something to father-in-law. It's fine. They'll regret it eventually. Maybe, but still. By the way, how's John behaving? Nothing unusual. He might be quiet now, but stay alert. When I went back to get some change of clothes, it seemed John had been waiting for me. How's Dad? He was okay today, but his condition is not great. I see. Why don't you visit him? Now? He'd just complain. Since I started caring for father-in-law, John often asked about his condition. Maybe he was feeling some regret. I had a faint hope that things might change for the better. I just wanted John to become responsible. But then mother-in-law would show up. Mom? Did you say you were coming today? I was nearby. The troublesome person had arrived. Make yourself comfortable. We were about to start cooking. Will Emily cook? Yes, she will. Then I'm looking forward to it. I began preparing, thinking one extra person wouldn't make much difference. Here you go. It doesn't look bad, but how's the taste? Mother-in-law said that and took a bite. To my astonishment, she spat it out immediately. What are you doing? How dare you serve something so terrible? It tastes the same as always to me. Mother-in-law glared at John. Then, my husband quickly changed his opinion and started belittling me, just like my mother-in-law. This tastes like garbage. Maybe you're too focused on Dad's care to cook properly? So rude to spit it out. Enough. Let's go eat out, John. Yeah, let's do that. The two of them stood up and left the house. John couldn't stand up to his mother. I felt foolish for hoping he'd change. No time for hesitation now. John returned alone after 2 hours. Where's mother-in-law? She's gone home. I see. What was earlier about? What? Changing your opinion based on mother-in-law's mood. I always thought that way. I realized it was time to set things straight. Then prepare your own meals from now on. Especially if it's that bad. Seriously? Of course. I went back to care for father-in-law. It was after about 3 months of living like this. Father-in-law's condition suddenly worsened, and we rushed him to the hospital. Hang in there, father-in-law. I might not last much longer. Don't say that. There's something I need to tell you. Remember the inheritance talk? I've written a will. A lawyer will contact you after I pass. Please, don't talk anymore. His pulse weakened on the way to the hospital. By the time we arrived at the hospital, he had completely stopped breathing. I was in shock, unable to think. With trembling hands, I desperately made a phone call. I tried calling mother-in-law, but she didn't answer. John picked up after 4 attempts. What's wrong? Father-in-law has passed away. What? He's dead. Mother-in-law is there with you, right? Yeah. Let me talk to her. Mother-in-law took the phone. What? Father-in-law just passed away. Oh, is that so? That's all you have to say? What else? We're free from him now. I've never felt such strength in my fists before. So you say. But you'll regret it. I doubt that. Neither of them came to the hospital that day. I returned to my in-laws' house, spending the night there. The next day, they were already at the hospital. Mama, I'm tired. Yes, let's go home. I couldn't help but wonder what I was being made to witness. The death of my father-in-law might have triggered the release of emotions and feelings my husband had been harboring until now. This revealed the true nature of my husband. You just got here? What? I'm here, no complaints. What's with John? It's just the usual. I definitely prefer it this way. We've got nothing to fear now. Don't defy me. What? This was the moment I considered divorce. Mother-in-law led a simple funeral for father-in-law. It was what's known as a family funeral, a decision driven by mother-in-law's reluctance to spend money. Even in death, father-in-law was disregarded, which pained me deeply. After the funeral, I returned home. It was the most unpleasant funeral I had ever experienced. From then on, I lived with a heavy heart. Hello? Yes, this is me. A lawyer? A person claiming to be a lawyer contacted me. There, I remembered father-in-law's words. The ones he had spoken to me in the ambulance. I understand. I'll be there shortly. I went to the lawyer's office where father-in-law's will was opened. He had left a notarized will. The contents were shocking, and I thought they could be used for revenge against my husband and mother-in-law. When I got home, my husband approached me aggressively. "Hey! You ignored a call from Mom, didn't you?" "What? I didn't ignore any call. Don't lie. She complained to me that you didn't answer." I thought, here we go again. My husband said this, but I never received a phone call from my mother-in-law. Not once since we got married. I disliked my mother-in-law. He doted on my husband all the time, leaving me feeling excluded. Should I show you the proof? Just apologize to her directly next time. Directly? Your parents' house is quite far, isn't it? Don't worry about that. My husband chuckled. What's so funny? Actually, Mom is coming here tomorrow. We'll be together all the time from now on. Hearing this, I accidentally dropped and shattered a glass I was washing. Tragically, the glass made a loud crashing sound as it shattered. It was one of my favorites. Such a sudden announcement. The room isn't even ready. What about your room? The study that you barely use? Why does it have to be my room? Anyway, clean up before Mom arrives. You can even throw stuff out if you want. I was confused by my husband's words. Just having read father-in-law's will, my mind wasn't working properly. What's the reason? What reason? There's no reason. I just want to be with Mom. I was speechless. What's with this Mom? Such a mama's boy. I realized how much father-in-law had been a buffer for us. However, I never imagined they would take action so quickly. Shouldn't you discuss this with me first? Why do I need to consult you? This is our house. This house was inherited by me. Stop nagging. Just do as I say. I realized talking to my husband was pointless. His mind was filled with thoughts of his mother. If that's the case, I have my own plans too. If that's what you want, I'll do it. It's okay to empty it, right? That's what I've been saying. Don't make me repeat myself. Don't you understand? Just confirming. 7 seconds later, I made a phone call to a certain place. It is a demolition company. Yes, that's right. As soon as possible, please. What are you talking about? Tomorrow is fine. Thank you. Are you listening to me? What? Who did you call? I'm thinking of selling some unwanted stuff. That call. Sounds like a good idea. I couldn't believe how foolish he was. Despite it being completely untrue. Just to be sure, I made a suggestion to my husband. I'll be cleaning up, so why don't you go pick up your mother? But she's coming tomorrow, right? Come back with her then. She'll be happy, I'm sure. Sometimes you do say the right things. I can't stay here. I gotta go. With my husband out of the house, everything was set. Just wait and see. First, I packed my belongings. Then, I had all of John's sellable items taken away by a recycling company. After tidying up the room, I visited a real estate agent. Since the inheritance procedures would take some time, I decided to rent another house for the time being. How about this place? If you sign the contract today, you can move in tomorrow. Then I'll take this room, please. Understood. Now, about the contract. After successfully completing the contract, I returned home. It was my last day in this house. Today marks my farewell to this house. It was the home my father left for me, but I needed to show those two the consequences of their actions. I will surely build another house here one day. So, I spent one last night in the house. By morning, I had moved all my belongings to my new home, and the demolition of the old house began. I checked on the demolition before heading to my new place. All that was left was to wait for a call from the two of them. About 2 hours later, it came. Hello? Hey! What's happening? What's wrong? The house is being demolished. Mom's stuff is about to arrive. Is that so? Explain yourself. All right, wait there. I'll come over. I went to where they were waiting. Upon spotting me, my husband hurried over. Why is the house being demolished? It's revenge, John. It was also father-in-law's wish. Don't talk nonsense. This house is mine. I can do whatever I want with it. Then, my mother-in-law tried to attack me. Please stop. How dare you? Now we have nowhere to live. That's for you to figure out. Mom, we might have to go back to our family home. Regrettably, that's our only option. I decided to play my final card. I think you should reconsider that. What are you talking about? That's right. Just look at this. I showed them father-in-law's will. What is this? It can't be true. It's not a lie. This is the will father-in-law left. The will specified the transfer of rights to the family house from my father-in-law to me. It was also written that I would inherit any remaining savings that my father-in-law had left behind. Hold on. There's a reserved portion of the inheritance, right? We're still entitled to some money. How unfortunate for you. You think I'd give you everything? But the remaining inheritance is only $20,000? What? That means $5,000 each for you. That can't be. There should be more. Please accept it. It's the truth. Father-in-law had anticipated this. In addition to the will, there was a letter addressed to me, and it revealed something crucial. Father-in-law had left only a minimal amount of money, donating the rest to charitable organizations. If that's okay with you, I'll make sure to give you your share. What will you do? They remained silent. You should think about not returning to the family home for now. Maybe you should start looking for a new place soon? This woman. My mother-in-law tried to grab me again, but dramatically fell over. It's really unfortunate it had to come to this. But it can't be helped, right? If only you had thought more about your husband, none of this would have happened. I left them sitting there and walked away. I was unable to suppress a smile thinking about their future. Now, only the final step remained. Back in my new home, I immediately prepared the divorce papers. Then, please take care of it for me. Thank you. I believe the inheritance procedures will be completed by next week. Okay, please keep handling it. A week later, the divorce was finalized. They were making a fuss about the inheritance, but it was too late for that. The reserved share was just a small amount, and knowing them, they would probably spend it quickly. Having completed the inheritance process, I went to the family house to dispose of my mother-in-law's belongings. There, I found my ex-husband and mother-in-law. What are you doing here? They turned to look at me. What are you doing here? I'm clearing out someone's stuff. You can't do that. But this house is officially mine now. So please leave quickly. Wait. Can't you reconsider? What? There's no way I can do that now. If you don't leave, I'll call the police. We're strangers now. Police? Mom, let's just go. Wait. This is my house. Let go. Come on. Thus, they hurriedly left the family house. I doubt they will come back after this. Then, I cleaned up the house, leaving only what belonged to my late father-in-law. I'm sure this would bring him peace. Really? Is that true? Yes, it seems so. I heard it's even become a neighborhood rumor. It seems that my ex-husband and mother-in-law are now living modestly in a small apartment. Apparently, they often fight so loudly that it can be heard even from outside. They were labeled as the neighborhood's troublesome duo. What a foolish pair they are. I never want to deal with such a mama's boy again. As for me, I continue to live in my new rented room. I couldn't bear to live in the house with such unpleasant memories. So I decided to keep it under father-in-law's watch for now. It's time for me to move forward for myself.